Huge sabotage at Hungary GP exposed as McLaren and Piastri received shocking news. The 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix was supposed to be a regular weekend for McLaren. Strategic execution, maybe a podium or two, and another chunk of points for their title run. But instead, it turned into the race that ripped the garage in half. On the surface, everything looked fine. Lando Norris stood on the top step of the podium, champagne in hand, beaming like a kid on Christmas morning. But just a few feet away, Oscar Piastri wasn't smiling. Not even a little. And that's where things started to unravel. To understand the drama, you've got to go back to lap 14. That's when McLaren pulled the trigger on a move that raised more eyebrows than a Ferrari strategy call. Piastri, who was running solidly up front, was suddenly called into the pits. Early. Way early. Everyone watching figured it was a bold undercut attempt to get ahead of Leclerc, and for a second, it looked like it worked. He came out ahead of the Ferrari in clean air. Great. But what they didn't say out loud was what that pit stop actually committed him to, a two-stop race. Now here's the thing, Hungary is not the track where you want to be stuck on a bad strategy. It's tight, narrow, and overtaking is like threading a needle blindfold. So while Piastri was out there chewing through his new tires and navigating back markers, Norris stayed out and stayed out. 13 laps longer to be exact. That gave him something you just don't get for free in modern F1: flexibility. When Norris finally pitted, he'd earned the chance to switch to a one-stop strategy. That's the golden ticket. Fewer stops, better tire life in the final stint, and most importantly, track position. So naturally, fans started asking questions. Why didn't Oscar get that same option? Why did the guy leading the championship end up boxed into the riskier call? And why did Lando, trailing in the points, get the luxury of hanging back, assessing the field, and going long? If you're being generous, you call it a race day coin toss that landed the wrong way. But if you're feeling suspicious, and a lot of people were, you might start whispering the word favoritism. And here's where it gets tricky. McLaren isn't just a team right now. It's a brand, a narrative, a marketing dream waiting to come true. And Lando Norris, the grinning British golden boy, is at the center of it. He's charismatic, media savvy, and born just a few hours from the team's headquarters. The idea of Norris dethroning Max Verstappen and winning McLaren their first driver's title in over a decade, that's not just exciting, it's sellable. It's posters, documentaries, and sponsorship deals. It's legacy. So when a strategic call benefits Lando at Oscar's expense, even if unintentionally, people notice. Fans dissect pit stop times like forensic analysts. Body language in the garage becomes headline news. And when you've got a team boss like Zach Brown brushing off questions with a calm "everyone will sleep well tonight," you can almost feel the tension thickening behind the scenes. But let's not forget Oscar's role in all this. He wasn't some rookie getting pushed around. He's been the most consistent driver on the grid this year. No drama, no ego, just laser focus and blistering pace. Before Hungary, he was leading the championship with more points than Max had at the same point last season. So for him to get boxed into a strategy that left him helpless on a day where he clearly had the pace to fight, it wasn't just frustrating, it felt like betrayal. And when he locked up trying a desperate last lap dive on Norris, only to back out and finish second, the silence on the radio said more than words ever could. When the checkered flag dropped and the celebrations kicked off, McLaren's pit wall wore the kind of smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes. They had the win, sure. Lando pulled off what looked like a comeback masterclass, but there was a storm brewing underneath all that champagne fizz. Oscar Piastri didn't cause a scene. He didn't lash out or storm away from interviews, but that almost made it worse. The restraint, the professional coldness, because every fan watching could tell he was boiling on the inside. It wasn't just about losing the race. It was about how he lost it, about feeling like a pawn in a game where someone else was already crowned the king. Oscar had done everything right. He got the start, he stayed clean, he hit his marks, and still the strategy left him boxed out of a win that could have cemented his championship momentum. Instead, it handed Lando a golden opportunity, and Lando took it. Now let's talk about that final stint. Oscar was flying, tires worn down to the canvas, DRS open every lap, chasing like a man possessed. He closed the gap to under a second, lap after lap, pushing past the limits of grip and sanity. And then came that final shot, turn 1, a lunge. He locked up, nearly lost it, almost took both cars out, but he pulled out at the last second, avoiding disaster by a hair. That wasn't just a racing move, that was a message, a you left me no choice moment. Post-race, when the microphones came out, Oscar played it cool. We'll review everything, he said, not sure it was the right call, but we win and lose as a team. But you could hear it in the tone, the disappointment, the edge, the quiet rebellion. It was the kind of answer that didn't need to be decoded. Everyone knew exactly what he meant. And McLaren, they tried damage control. Zach Brown called it a tough day with split strategies. Andrea Stella praised both drivers for delivering under pressure. But behind the PR filters, something else was clear. There was now a very real divide in the garage, and not just between the drivers, but between trust and doubt, belief and suspicion. Social media blew up, fans picked sides like it was a civil war. Team Lando said he earned it, that Oscar didn't speak much in the team debrief. He listened, nodded, took notes, said the right things, but the engineers knew he was already looking ahead, not to Spa, not to Monza, but to the long game, the rest of the season. 10 races, 10 opportunities, 10 chances to prove he's not just another name in McLaren's history books, but the future of Formula One. Back in the paddock, murmurs turned into conversations behind closed doors. Journalists chased whispers of favoritism. Engineers debated data sets in hushed tones, and sponsors began asking quiet questions. It's not that McLaren made a bad call. In racing, that happens, but this one cut deeper because it looked like it had intent, even if it didn't. When a team has two drivers that close in performance, every small advantage feels like a shove. Oscar's camp wasn't silent either. Behind the scenes, his management made it clear they want answers. They want transparency on strategy discussions moving forward. If both drivers are in a title fight, both deserve the same tools, the same info, the same room to race. Because if one feels boxed in, it's not just morale that suffers, it's performance. Unity turns into doubt, and doubt loses championships. Lando, for all the noise, handled himself like a pro. But he knew this wasn't over, not even close. If anything, Hungary painted a target on his back. Suddenly, he's not just the lovable underdog, he's the guy who might be getting the better deal. Whether it's true or not doesn't even matter, that image sticks. And the next time a strategy call favors him, even if it's logical, the backlash will be 10 times louder. Inside the team, leadership is walking a tightrope. Zach Brown and Andrea Stella have to manage not just the car development, but egos, expectations, and external pressure. McLaren's goal was always to win both titles, but now they're caught between two alphas, each capable of winning it alone. The danger, they lose both by trying to play it safe. The summer break arrived like a pause button, time to breathe, regroup, but also time to think. Oscar flew back to Australia for a few days, family, quiet beaches, no noise, but he trained harder than ever, reviewed every lap from Hungary, replayed the pit call over and over in his head, not out of anger, out of hunger. He's not going to wait for McLaren to hand him anything. He's going to take it. Lando, meanwhile, stayed in the UK. Simulator sessions, factory meetings, media obligations. His win put him just 9 points behind in the standings. The momentum was his. But he wasn't celebrating. He's smart enough to know that in F1, nothing is locked. One DNF, one mechanical failure, and it flips. What he wanted now was consistency and to stay ahead, not just in races, but in perception. Because when teammates start clashing for a title, the battle isn't just on track, it's in the minds of everyone watching. The next race, that's where the tone gets set. If McLaren comes out with a clear, equal strategy, maybe they can cool things down. But if there's even a hint of imbalance, another early call for Oscar, another long run for Lando, this whole thing explodes. Because this isn't just about points anymore. It's about pride, about respect. And when two drivers believe they are the rightful champion, someone eventually gets sacrificed. The only question now is who blinks first, because McLaren may be one team, but there's only one number one.